Hi from Deauville. Stop.
See the starboard propeller slipping on the keyway. You know, it could be the shaft is shot or it could just be the key, but most likely it's done damage to the shaft. You should not be able to spin this independently of the shaft like this.
Bummer, are you full?
No, you're in the video group.
Let me take one of you two. Let me take.
Is it? The smoke. Yeah, no, you don't. Look how much fun. Just think about it.
Okay, they're right back here. Go closer, go closer. They're right back over there, and I can't see them. Oh my god. We're going closer, we're going closer. They're right up here. Oh god. Okay.
I can't tell this picture. This camera's taking pictures of us.
What do you mean, 20? Look. Means because it's 5 o'clock. Too late.
Here, I'll do it again. Hold your hand out. Watch. So watch.
You know the difference between a divorce and a circumcision? With a divorce, you get rid of the whole schmuck. This old man went to the doctor. Doctor says, what's your problem? He says, doctor, I want you to lower my sex drive. He says, at your age, it's all in your head. He says, I know, I want it lowered.
Food. Look a little happier. Like, just think about it. Look a little happier. Put your arms up.
Good relationship with cameras.
Smile when you spit. Smile like that. Go ahead, this one.
With cameras.
Is like an ember, longs to be loved just by you. If it could be so, then you'd keep me so warm in December. Oh, it's cold in December. Please keep me warm in December too.
You got $1. Okay. You find a Japanese boy. Doesn't work.
I can do no wrong, and when I hold you in my arms, but no can do me no harm, and I feel nice, like sugar and spice. I feel nice, like sugar and spice. So nice, so nice. I got you.
American 2410, contact the forward center 120.77.
Jeffrey, this is the two-shade system. So the first one is semi-transparent, and I can stop it right here and have it be semi-transparent. But if I let it go all the way, the second shade comes down. As you can see, it's traveling, and that's the blackout shade. And you can see it's pretty quick. So when I bring it up, if I just press it once, it'll bring up both. So you can see the lighter, transparent, and the blackout. Now it's transparent. I can stop it or just let it keep on going.
You always have that one in your pocket.
Yeah, it's over at some point soon.
It's your age management.
Nope, I've got this on video. I'm just gonna send this to you every day. Oh, it's huge.
You can see it? Come on.
Don't make me look away. So clean. So clean.
You okay?
Are you videotaping this?
It's
You can look at it. Yeah? It's sizable.
Yeah, but it's, I mean, it's perfectly intact. There's no...
Yeah, we got it out in one piece. You can see a little bit of how it looks like a pearl.
Yep.
Oh, is that what...
Sometimes it's easier said than done, but famed lawyer Alan Dursley is trying to bring that trust back to the attorney-client relationship with an app. He's going to tell us how. And then later on, the earnings squad tackling everything from Boeing to Zynga. We'll find out how you should be playing it all.
So, Phil, the girl that marries you will be a very lucky girl.
One of the most important features of any shotgun is low recoil. The Extrema 2 has more recoil reducing features than any other gun on the market. I've tried all kinds of shotguns at one time or another, but none of them handle quite as well as the Extrema 2. It's smooth, quick, and natural pointing. All I can say about the Extrema 2 is you just have to shoot one to appreciate it. To me, accuracy is just as important with a shotgun as with a rifle. The Extrema 2's precision allows me pinpoint shot placement. I fired as many rounds in a single day through my Extrema 2 as most shotguns will see in a lifetime. In less than 5 months, I fired over 50,000 rounds through my Extrema 2 with very few failures. To me, that's reliability. There seems to be a lot of emphasis on how fast the shotguns are cycling. Whether it's 3 rounds or 12 rounds, I don't know of another shotgun that can match the speed of the Extrema 2.
Jij had een normaal leven daarvoor en toen plots kom je uit narcose en dan merk je dat het leven niet meer hetzelfde zal zijn. Hoe reageer je daar dan op?
Ja, eerst een deel van ongeloof. Ongeloof is eigenlijk het juiste woord.
Excuseer.
Ongeloof is eigenlijk het juiste woord dat ik hier hanteert. Omdat dat was bij mij dus ook de eerste gewaarwording dat ik dacht dat kan niet.
Excuseer dames en heren. Dus je probeert dan terug je troek op te...
Ik begrijp echt niet wat er hier aan het gebeuren is.
Sorry. Excuseer dames en heren. Dat betekent ook dat bijvoorbeeld seksualiteit ook een groot probleem bijvoorbeeld wordt.
Ja, mijn vriend heeft het gewoon gedaan gemaakt. En ik neem hem daar ook niet aan.
Plus het feit als je met seks omgaat, is het niet alleen het fysieke dat telt, maar ook soms de lieve woordjes.
Alright. Let's see if they quit peeking here.
The lights are turned on.
Oh, okay. So this is okay. And that one is here. Alright, I gotta hold that. Alright. With that. He was framed.
Paris is mesmerizing. So pretty. Saturday morning, Place Vendôme. Paris is waiting for you to come back. Bye.
Is that a face plant?
That totally was.
Ballistic. She is going ballistic.
Checking out the ear. Hey, come on.
She's going back for more.
Get her. Take the light on.
Oh, hey now.
As long as someone doesn't scream, it's fair game.
Still playful?
Oh,
sit on her. Don't think Grishki can say uncle yet. Oh, we're getting tangled. Okay.
Mr. Epstein. My name is Vladimir Geshkenbein, born in Russia, currently residing in Zurich. At the age of 10, I was one of the first students to be admitted to Talenta, a school for the highly gifted. You would have to pass an IQ test, 130 was the minimum to be accepted. A few years later, while in high school, I decided to leave 1 year early and prepare for the entrance exams to the ETH set in self-study. The ETH set is considered the best university in mainland Europe. I have successfully passed those exams, saved 1 year, and commenced studies in physics. I am a highly effective learner, and one of my core strengths is quick comprehension and application. While studying, I have discovered poker. I saw this opportunity and took it by heart. My poker career was stellar. Within 2 years, I have studied, developed, and applied the best strategy available and rose to the top. Through applying mathematical and statistical concepts, strong logic, and analysis of data provided, I became the biggest winner on the site I played on. At the age of 23, I have cashed out over $1 million and win many major live tournaments around the world. I even started hosting workshops for students to learn from me. I realized that with full dedication and motivation, you can reach anything in life. Despite my success in poker, I don't want to devote my life to a card game. I want to bring something of value, something positive into this world. That's why I'm looking for new opportunities. Thank you for your consideration.
It's common space.
Hello, my name is Paula, I'm 15 years old, I'm 1.78 meters long, and I'm from Riga, Latvia.
Alright, walking in, a ton of light, natural light. To your right, immediately are the utilities. The washer dryer space, which is quite massive. And the coat closet. Straight to the den or office, and to the left is the half bath with the toilet. Good choice. Second bathroom has the bathtub. Very big bathtub. Very deep. See? Yes. Bathtub. from the master bath, you walk right into the master closet. Kind of going backwards, which they finished. And then into the bedroom. Alright, so coming through the front door, to the right is the kitchen, which does have a gas range. Not all of them do, only the larger 2 beds. This is laundry setup. So, laundry room. Utilities. To the left is the den immediately.
Take you wonder by wonder, over, sideways, and under, on a magic carpet ride, a whole new world, a new fantastic point of view. No one to tell us no, or where to go, or say we're only dreaming.
A whole new world. My microphone is not working. A new place I never knew. But now from way up here, it's crystal clear. There's no one in the whole new world with you.
Look at the snow. I don't know if you can see the snow. It's like a snow globe. See it go past the camera? It's incredible. Look at that. It's gorgeous. Look at Fifth Avenue. Look at the streets. Look at the rooftops. It's so beautiful. Wherever you are, enjoy this incredible Saturday. It's beautiful here today. That's Central Park, believe it or not. Love you. Enjoy your weather.
Everyone's missing, so we're going to see blueberries here. Blueberry! Blueberry! Ah! Blueberry! Hello, darling. What are you doing? Oh, hello! Hello! Hey! Yes, are you going to come downstairs with me now? I'm going to go take you and snuggle with you. Your mummy's not here, so you can do whatever I want.
Entry hall, bathroom, and straight into the main living area. The kitchen. Little ovens convection. Gas burner. Very important. Basically a very beautiful cooking space. I know what you're gonna say. This is great. And the views. The patio. Back out to the kitchen. And a super bright space. You can feel the warmth. And this is ridiculous. No construction on this side, just visuals. Would throw it. Good choice. Let's see. So you have a balcony, another closet. Another closet that has the sound system. Second bed, and it has has the shades installed that are remote. And the view. Again, no construction on this side. That will be a boutique hotel. That's not going to be very tall. And these.
Why you won't flex? Al-Qaeda.
Vas-y, on pose comme ça.
The Erection, the Parthenon, the Greek flag, northern part of Athens. And here we go, coffee, brownie.
Hi, Happy New Year to all of you. I wish you the best.
All right, so final thoughts, everybody. What are your final thoughts? There's so much. There's just so much bizarre stuff in the video files. I mean, you jump from what looks to be a video depicting a child being abused to a dog attacking someone's hand to a bizarre Marilyn Monroe 3D art structure to molecules like it looked like a disease or molecular life blown up, cells under a microscope. It's just so weird, but it's so insidious. And anybody with a brain can look at what we're seeing in not only in these videos, but in the photos and the documents themselves and say, clearly, this guy was trafficking children and young women to powerful people. It does not take a rocket scientist to make that deduction because it's true. It is so absolutely true that people just are having a hard time believing it, but yeah, it's what it is. And it's disturbing stuff and it's dark stuff, but together we can solve this. And we as a people can hopefully hold these sleazy accountable because it is disheartening. I mean, the DOJ, the FBI, they don't care. They don't care about survivors. Pam Bondi is a lying scumbag. Kash Patel is a spineless little rat. Dan Bongino is a coward. All of them are spineless, weak, pathetic protectors. And yet there are still people who support what they do. They would rather prosecute Don Lemon than anyone on the Epstein list. They'd rather prosecute a journalist for going into a church during a service than somebody who repeatedly children for years. Let that sink in. Regardless of your thoughts on Don Lemon, I don't give a what you think about it. If you actually think that he should be prosecuted before these sadistic could be responsible for the murders of adults and children, the production of CSAM, the trafficking of children all across the planet, babies being born with the intent to be used in these groups, ritualistic slaughter, anything and everything, you don't think that that should be investigated, you're a fucking menace to society. So yeah, these things always make me a little sick to my stomach, but I am curious to hear what you guys think, to hear what you guys thought about the videos, because there's just so much, there's so many, and together, the only way we can fight this is together. But yeah, we do this every week. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. We're going to be back with another analysis of more files in the near future. My name is Colin Brown. Thank you for watching. And as always, stay suspicious, keep that tinfoil hat on, question everything, and I'll see you guys next week.
directed at me, Jeffrey's like, you see, Anushka, if you know the right people and you have enough money, you can do whatever you want. Both Jeffrey and Ghislaine made it their business to know the most important and influential people across the board, across the world.
Why do you think that is?
Because that's how you control everything. He also wanted the girls to be fully present for the abuse. I was introduced to Trump by Ghislaine Maxwell at a party in Manhattan when I was about 20 years old.
If Republicans don't come forward and they don't, at least 3 of them don't vote for you, aren't they betraying all the victims?
Oh, 100%.
We've been covering the Epstein files and what appears to be a cover-up of the Epstein files by the Trump administration. But although much has been made about the Epstein files, one of the things that's really, really important to keep in mind is that there are real people out there, survivors of the abuse that was carried out by Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein. And here to talk to us about the importance of releasing the Epstein files is an Epstein survivor. Anushka DiGiorgio joins us now. And Anushka, I really want to thank you for your courage in, being willing to come out and be public about what you've gone through and how important you find it to release the Epstein files, because I know it's not easy.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for having me here, and thank you for acknowledging that. And it was a decision that was made after much consideration, and I really had to weigh what, the cost of coming out publicly, which is great cost really to my own mental health and also to that of my family, against what this really meant, not only to the other survivors, but on a bigger scale to survivors in general and to people being incentivized to come forward. Because at this point, there's really no incentive for any survivor of this type of abuse, especially at the hands of such high-end situation. There's no incentive for them to come forward, and every incentive for them to remain silenced.
Absolutely, I agree with you on that. And so it does take a tremendous amount of courage. And let me just kind of start at the beginning. I don't really want to get into the details of the abuse itself. I kind of want to understand, how old were you when you were approached and groomed? I want to know how they basically sought you out, basically.
Right. Yeah. So I was around 16 when I met Ghislaine Maxwell through some mutual friends. Apparently, it seemed randomly that we had met, and it was immediately apparent that she was this incredible, older woman who was very charismatic, very sophisticated, and so I was really excited to meet her, and she seemed so interested in me. And as a 16, 17-year-old, you want to feel special, you want to feel important, you want to feel seen, heard, recognized, validated, right? So at that point, she took an interest in me, said she'd love to meet with me. We happened to have, I was ready to go to Oxford University, and I had a place waiting for me, contingent on my grades. So we arranged to meet up in London for tea after meeting in Paris. And then after that, she reached out to me, invited me over, and then the grooming began, or the grooming continued, because really the grooming by perpetrators of this kind is right from the onset. And it's subliminal, and it's covert, and it's insidious. So it's these little tiny reinforcing of how important you are to them, and how special you are, and what kind of special relationship you can have with this person.
And I believe you were a model at the time, right?
I had done some modeling. I mean, I was living with my mother because I was 16 years old, so I was in school.
So how did she reach out to you? What was the reason for her to reach out to you and show interest in you?
Well, because we'd been introduced by mutual friends, there was already a connection, and I already felt a level of safety because A, she was a woman, of course. B, she was closer to the age of my mother or my parents than any of my other contemporaries. So I also had this deference, right, of thinking, oh, I have to respect this person. And really, it was just, she was so interested. She was like, tell me about you. You're so amazing. I really want to learn more about you. Wow, you're going to Oxford. I went to Oxford. Finding points of connection. And that's where it sort of began. And then the invitation to come and spend time with her, I felt very flattered. I felt, oh my goodness, she's choosing me and she knows all these important people. And so then when I had tea with her, this reinforcement continued. And she mentioned very casually about her boyfriend, Jeffrey, who I then realized, or subsequently I've realized was Jeffrey, and about how he's a philanthropist. He really loves to just help people. And, and I'll meet him at some point.
Interesting. Did you want to?
Yeah. So the government ridiculously claims that there are no clients at all, that it was just Epstein and Maxwell. They say they will not prosecute anyone. They literally put out a statement saying no prosecutions at all. So were there actual clients outside of Maxwell and Epstein?
So this is something that I'm really happy to clarify because, first of all, I was involved and perpetrated upon by them for over 10 years. So I had a lot of experience, and mine was quite close to the beginning of their romantic relationship. So I was exposed for many years to a lot of what was going on. What's happening in the media and where the confusion comes in is they talk about a client list. So that kind of infers or insinuates that the whole setup was designed to be like a pedophile ring with clients so that they could blackmail them, or that was the goal.
Right.
That was not the goal. This whole system was set up for Jeffrey, for young girls to be provided to Jeffrey and Ghislaine was the one who was setting that whole thing up. And often it was her idea because she so wanted to please Jeffrey that she was going out and finding these girls. Now, that doesn't mean that as a byproduct, and as the girls aged out, they weren't then passed off to other perhaps significant friends or business connections of both Jeffrey and Ghislaine.
So were there other men?
There were other men, yes. That wasn't the main setup. So the idea of a client list is not actually a physical thing where somewhere we're going to find this list and it's sort of, you unroll the scroll and it goes all the way down to the floor. There are a few people. I think the main thing to think about here is not so much a client list, although yes, we would love for those men to be held accountable, but it's more the people who enabled this. And this is like, if you look at following the money, because there's a bunch of money out there,
right?
Okay, there's a bunch of people who facilitated this. Look at the people who were closest to Jeffrey, closest to Ghislaine, the people who enabled this, not the lower, sort of the staff on a lower level, because really you can see them as kind of being victimized also by fear, by intimidation. But look at the people who helped him run his operation, and then look for where his money went.
Right, but none of those men have been prosecuted. Has the government ever given you a reason why none of them have ever been prosecuted?
No, we've had a few excuses and sort of dismissive kind of explanations that really don't explain anything. And many of the other women with whom I'm in touch are very keen to see these other people held accountable. And every time we meet, like we just had a private meeting with Congress, with Speaker Johnson and lots of other congressmen. And it appeared as though they were receiving this information for the first time, which is so frustrating for us because we have told law enforcement, we have told FBI, we have testified in court. We've been in so many situations where we're like, here's the information. Brad Edwards and Brittany Henderson of the crime victim law firm, he started this whole thing. He's been working on this for years and years. He's been saying, here you go, here you go. And now at that meeting with Congress, which was a private meeting, they said, please hold us accountable. We want to help you get this thing done. Can you please give us a roadmap? And Brad Edwards and Brittany Henderson said, we absolutely will do that. We will be in touch with you. We will show you where to look.
So who said hold us accountable? Members of Congress?
Yes.
Really? Which members of Congress? Are we talking about like Thomas Massey, Marjorie Taylor Greene, the usual
Yes.
suspects who seem to actually care about this issue?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, that's good to know. Now, I am very curious what the properties were like. Now, there's been some reporting. The New York Times just republished some details about one of Epstein's properties in Manhattan. And what really stands out to me are the cameras. And so, did you notice the documentation of these crimes happening? Were there cameras in the rooms? Like, were Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein essentially recording proof of what was going on in these rooms?
I believe so, and I believe there's evidence that to support that. It wasn't something that I was aware of, and you have to remember, I'm 48 now.
Right.
So when this was happening, between 16 and then right up to when I was almost 30, especially in the early days, this was not a thing that I didn't know about cameras or hidden cameras. I also, when you're in a situation where you've already been groomed, where you've already been victimized, the only thing you're thinking about is how do I keep myself safe in this moment and how do I get through this?
Right,
you know?
Right. So at what point did you realize that you were in danger, and what kind of tactics did Epstein and Maxwell use to essentially keep a survivor like you quiet as this abuse was going on?
So I think there was sort of very obvious ways, and I think this is part of the grooming thing, which is right from day one. There's this assertion of constantly reinforcing that we are very powerful people. We're very important people. Look how the staff around us are so deferential to us. Look how they're frightened of us. And in truth, the staff were far more frightened of Ghislaine than they were of Jeffrey, because she could be this very charming, elegant woman who was soft-spoken, and then she would turn around if there were not enough blueberries in, Jeffrey's muffin. God help that poor, member of staff. And so, as a young girl, and I'm talking about like an 85-pound 17-year-old. I'm watching this, and this is how we navigate socially, right? This is how we learn as children. We watch and we're like, what is the dynamic? What is safe? So there were these little sort of micro signals all the time, but then there were the more significant and direct threats where, for example, Jeffrey met with a significant person in Palm Beach with me, and I'm not gonna get myself sued by saying who it is, but they're having a conversation about somebody getting away with something, right? And I'm sitting there taking it in, being like, okay. And then directed at me, Jeffrey's like, you see, Anushka, if you know the right people and you have enough money, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, it's haunting. Right. So I want to get into your interactions with the government in a second, but so a lot of the victims obviously don't say the names of the people that are involved because they're worried about the lawsuits and all the different forms of intimidation. But has the government asked you what their names are, and have you ever seen them take any action in regards to those names. And I don't even know if they asked you.
I mean, I can tell you what I've personally communicated, to the government within testifying at the trial, etc. I've seen a lot of notes be taken. I haven't seen specific action regarding prosecuting anyone else. I also have a deeper understanding now of how the legal system works and how it has to work, and the fact that you can't prosecute somebody who's involved in a case until the former prosecution that's connected is completely done and dusted, right? So when Ghislaine Maxwell was arrested, a lot of people are like, why are all the other people not being arrested? And you can't just go around arresting people who are all connected because the cases affect each other. Right?
I don't know about that. So maybe that's an excuse they gave you, but I think you could arrest co-conspirators together all the time.
And prosecute them simultaneously.
So, but okay, so let's talk about the first time they reached out to you, right? Because they halfway prosecuted Epstein back in 2008. At that point, people began to find out that this started to happen. Did they approach you at that point, earlier or later than that?
No, they didn't approach me at all. I was never approached, and I never came forward until I reached out to Brad Edwards because, I mean, as a survivor of this, I was always looking. I would check the internet. I would look things up and say, is anything happening? What's this person doing? Because these people, I felt threatened by these people, so I wanted to know what was going on. And I discovered a civil case that was being initiated by Virginia Giuffre Roberts, and it was being handled by Brad Edwards. So I reached out to Brad Edwards and I said, listen, I don't want to bring my own case forth at the moment because the fear was really too much for me, especially because I had a young baby at the time. But I would like to be helpful because I have information and I would like to help Virginia.
And around what time is that? What year?
So that was around 10 years ago.
So 2015 or so.
2014, probably.
Yeah. So at what point do you talk to the government?
So I didn't talk to the government until after Epstein died. And I say died, and I say died, right?
Right.
Because I think we all have, plenty of information to suggest that was not a suicide. In fact, Ghislaine firmly believes that and has stated that, and it's one of the things she and I agree on.
Yeah.
So yeah, so at that point, I went to and bear in mind, like this happening was this huge bombshell for me and many of the other survivors. Suddenly, this perpetrator that we'd lived in fear of for so many years was gone. And so it's this inner conflict of like, okay, I was terrified and now there's kind of less fear, but there's no opportunity to have that reconciled, that situation. So then there was the dismissal hearing because you cannot charge a dead man. So Judge Berman had a dismissal hearing and we were invited to come and speak. And this was pretty incredible on the part of Judge Berman. So I decided to go. There was almost no notice. It's like, do you want to come tomorrow to go do this? Okay, do I? I don't know, So I went and I flew in. And then, I mean, we had a wall of press, no cameras, but a wall of press in the courtroom. And we had about 23 survivors and we stood arm in arm in front, Epstein's attorneys in front, Judge Berman and all the press. And we were given this opportunity to speak our experience or say anything we wanted to say.
I would like to shed some light on a question that gets asked quite a bit in regard to what appears to be an orchestrated cover-up of the Epstein files, right? So, the Trump administration seems to be kind of, digging itself into a deeper hole, making it appear clearer and clearer that they do not want the release of these files. And so, would you argue that some of the powerful people that would be implicated as a result of the release of these files really fall all across the political aisle, left, right, conservative, Republican? I want to know because, an argument that you often hear from the right, individuals who want to defend Donald Trump is, well, if Democrats had the dirt, they would definitely release the files. A common rebuttal to that, and it's a common rebuttal I use, is, well, I don't think that this is a partisan issue. I think there are powerful people from both sides of the aisle implicated. Can you confirm that?
I can say that I also believe that, and I also believe it's not exclusive to this country. We're talking about, both Jeffrey and Ghislaine made it their business to know the most important and influential people across the board, across the world.
Why do you think that is?
Because that's how you control everything.
Interesting, okay.
Yeah, interesting, yeah. So you go and testify with the women interlocking arms. Did any prosecutors from the government then come to you after that and go, okay, now we know?
Yes, so immediately after that. And of course that was like this emotional kind of like deluge. And then I was asked, the FBI would like to have a few words with you. I go off, speak to the FBI for what seemed like hours, like at least 2 or 3 hours. And they asked me a bunch of rapid fire questions. I told them whatever I could. And they said at some point in that, if anybody else would be prosecuted, would you be willing to testify? I was like, yeah, okay, And little did I know that the following summer, I would get a call at 6 o'clock in the morning and from my attorney saying, Ghislaine Maxwell has been arrested and you're in the indictment. And I was like, what is that? I mean, what does that even mean? You know, what does that mean for me? Because people often talk about like, oh, you know, you were involved in this case. Like, this wasn't my case. This was a federal case. I was called as a witness. I was given no information, even about the evidence that they had on me. So the evidence they had, pictures of me.
Wow.
I wasn't shown those things.
So
you know?
were you shown those things as soon as you got involved in the case? Like, did they present those images?
Not until right before.
Interesting, wow.
So did they have video of you as well?
I don't know if they had video of me. They didn't show me video.
But they had pictures of you
pictures.
from inside the rooms. So like that means they have the pictures, they have the videos.
They have, I mean, you know, to put together a federal case at this level, this isn't like, oh, some people said some stuff, so we decided to just like arrest people.
Yeah.
This is context, this is testimony, this is evidence. And it's not a little bit of evidence, it's lots and lots and lots of evidence.
So did you give them names other than Maxwell and Epstein?
Not of people. I was not trafficked to anybody outside of Jeffrey Epstein.
I see. Okay.
But I gave them other names of other powerful people.
Interesting.
And you gave them powerful people that you had seen there, or that you knew from other girls had partaken?
Both.
I see. Okay. And how close were you to the other survivors?
I wasn't close to any of the survivors until after the dismissal hearing.
Was there an effort at all by Jeffrey Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell or both to keep the various survivors kind of separate from one another so they don't communicate with each other or potentially work together to push for prosecution?
100%. I mean, if you look at any kind of grooming pedophile setup, the divide and rule is the way that you make sure that your operation can continue and does continue. And you also, as you know, in that scenario, you wouldn't know who you could trust. You wouldn't know if one of the other women who appeared to be a victim actually would turn, because the truth is, these people could make you do almost anything.
It's just absolutely terrifying. And so, you know, you hear about these like wild parties that Epstein would have with, you know, these young girls who would, you know, be victimized by these powerful men. You know, to your comfort level, I don't want to, you know, make you think about things that are difficult to think about given what you went through, but can you describe what those scenes were like?
So I wasn't involved in any of these parties. But my understanding is, I mean, I know that like neither Jeffrey nor Ghislaine really liked alcohol or drugs. So when you describe it as like wild parties, it's more about he would have these very lavish parties and very sort of intimidating parties. And my understanding is at some of these parties, some of the girls were present, and then there was, you know, some kind of opportunity for the other people to have, you know, sexual experiences with these girls.
And were there drugs readily available or alcohol readily available for others, even though Epstein and Maxwell didn't partake in that particular?
Jeffrey hated drugs.
Interesting, okay.
So obviously sort of, you know, socially, alcohol, yes. He didn't drink. He didn't like anything to do with drugs. And he also wanted the girls to be fully present for the abuse.
Wow.
Oh, that's super interesting. Okay, so.
That's so sick. I mean, it's sick to drug, I mean, the whole thing is sick, but the fact that he like made it known that he wanted, you know, these girls to be fully cognizant of what was happening is just, there's like something really twisted about that.
Yeah, so I don't know if you're allowed to talk about it, but in all those interactions over the 10 years, did you ever see Trump at any of these parties?
I didn't see Trump at any of the parties. I was introduced to Trump by Ghislaine Maxwell at a party in Manhattan when I was about 20 years old. And this is something that's been documented, in fact, by the Mirror, which ironically used to, well, or maybe not ironically, was owned by Robert Maxwell previously.
Right.
The Mirror wrote a story about Ghislaine introducing me to Trump at a New York Manhattan event. And the article describes incorrectly a bunch of things that happened subsequently. And I mean, for clarity, I'm interested in the truth. Whether or not the truth suits my narrative, I'm here for the truth.
Right.
And there was a lot of misinformation within that article. And in that situation, I was very much brought to Trump as some kind of offering by Ghislaine Maxwell, like setting up like a date, right? Trump did not behave in any way inappropriately with me.
Okay.
And you know, that's the truth. That doesn't mean that there weren't other inappropriate things that were done, but that was my experience, right?
So you got the sense that you were given it as an offering, but Trump was at that point in time, for whatever reason, was not interested.
That's right.
Okay, how about Bill Clinton? Any interaction with him?
I didn't have interaction with him, but I did have on multiple occasions, I was told of that he was coming, whether it was that he's coming to Palm Beach or he's coming to stay at the island. In fact, when I was on the island, Jeffrey and Ghislaine both told me like, oh, you're staying in the room that Bill likes. So if he comes, you might have to move from that room because that's the room he likes.
No, well, at least they said move.
Right,
Okay.
yes.
All right, the island, I've always been curious about that. Now, again, you're guessing here because you didn't have interactions with everyone involved, right? But like I thought, well, maybe you could go to his New York apartment, because you're in Manhattan, you had a business meeting or whatever. But going to the island feels like almost everyone who went there knew what was gonna happen. Do you think that assumption is correct or incorrect?
I think that assumption is correct. I also can tell you that because of the way that all the properties were decorated, all the pictures of young, naked women, and this was across the board. It didn't matter whether you were on the island or you were in Paris, there was this like in your face kind of exposure to basically artistic pedophilia. And so you couldn't be at any of these properties and you'd have to be walking around with your eyes closed to not know.
And to get on a plane to go to the island knowing this about Epstein, you know that you're very likely going to be offered a girl. Is that fair?
I mean, this is not my experience. This is a speculation, but I would say that I stick to what I said. I don't think anybody could go to any of these properties and not have an understanding of what might be going on there.
So, final question for me. You initially, I was watching an interview of you on BBC back in June, and initially you were not necessarily in favor of the release of the Epstein files, but you have changed your mind. So I wanted to kind of ask you, what made you change your mind and what are you hoping would be accomplished by the release of the Epstein files?
So it's not so much that I've changed my mind, it's just the differentiation between a list and the files. And I think we have to keep coming back to that. Whereas we want everything. And this bill that's been put forward by Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie, this is everything. Right. Like, let's get it all out. Can we get it all out now? Can we stop messing around and get it all out?
I agree with you on that because just releasing a list of names doesn't really tell you anything, right? But releasing the files would, that implies that it's gonna include evidence. It's gonna kind of put those names in a certain context that will help the public understand what was really going on.
Right,
yeah.
And now, after this meeting, the private meeting with Congress and then the press conference outside, we have this opportunity, this window of opportunity. And thank goodness for those, like the 3 Republican congresswomen who came forward. I mean, Marjorie Taylor Greene was amazing. Her coming out and supporting us like that, if anyone can redeem themselves, that's the way to do it.
I have to say, she has been incredibly good on both the Epstein files and also her quest to get foreign money out of our politics, which I think is incredibly important.
Right.
But you mentioned the other Republicans, but have you been approached by any Democratic lawmakers who are looking to help, who are looking for the release of the Epstein files as well?
I mean, I haven't been approached directly other than obviously like Ro Khanna, but certainly within the press conference, within the private meeting with Congress that we were able to do, every single member who was present was like, we are in this with you. Please hold us accountable. Please follow up. We want to support you. And so what we really need to do now is, because we need 3 more votes, right? And we're talking about the end of the month. So what we need to do is really bring out the support for these Republican congressmen and women. And because they are taking a big risk.
They are, yes.
I don't think they're taking a risk. I think they're taking a risk by not voting yes. Okay, if they vote no, that means they are betraying American women and siding with predators. There's no answers or buts.
I agree, but there's a divide in this country between ordinary people who want justice and the elite. And the elite very clearly are engaging in a cover-up of these Epstein files.
So that goes to my question. So right now, all the Democrats are on board for the vote to release the Epstein files. Now, I get it, the Democrats are not in charge, conveniently, right? But you've got these 4 congressmen that are Republicans that are, so you need 3 more Republicans, period, out of over 200 Republicans. So if 3 don't come forward, look, I'm not into this for the partisanship. And if you told me Bill Clinton did it, I believe it in a second, et cetera. We talked about both sides of the aisle, et cetera. But if Republicans don't come forward and at least 3 of them don't vote for you, aren't they betraying all the victims?
Oh, 100%. I mean, they're not only betraying all the victims, they're betraying themselves, they're betraying their daughters, their wives, their, everybody, their mothers. I mean, this is a betrayal that goes beyond a bill. This is an ethical issue.
Absolutely.
And so if you don't come forward, it's not just the next 3 years. Hopefully these congressmen and women will have long lives and long political careers. So I would invite them to consider what might happen after this administration cycles out.
Yeah, and I agree. Look, they should affect their careers. It should affect their souls. They're literally protecting predators, and they can never explain why. They always hide behind you guys. They use you as human shields. Like, oh, we're trying to protect the victims.
Yeah.
That's a lie, isn't it?
It is 100% a lie. And you know what? The problem is now that we've come out and started speaking, we're not going away. And I can't speak for all the other survivors, but I can speak for myself. The more I am ignored, I will get louder and louder and louder.
Oh, you're my type of lady. You're my type of lady. I love it.
Okay.
Yes, I love it.
Last quick question. So Ghislaine Maxwell said, I don't think that he committed suicide, I think he was killed. And then curiously, they didn't ask her, who do you think killed him? I mean, what a strange omission, right? If someone told me, oh, Charles Manson was killed, Osama bin Laden was killed, first thing I'd ask is who killed him, right?
You're talking about when she was interviewed by Todd Blanche.
That's right.
So that was an interesting setup. right?
Yeah.
And the main thing, and you know, we can like, I don't really have an opinion about Todd Blanche particularly, other than the fact that he doesn't have enough experience and history in this case to be qualified to be questioning her. So
it appeared to me that that was all about getting some clarity, if you want to call it that, from Ghislaine Maxwell, that Donald Trump didn't do anything bad. She gets rewarded with, you know, Club Fed, you know, with this fancier, nicer prison, which, by the way, I do want to ask you what you think about the fact that Ghislaine Maxwell was moved from, you know, a more high security type prison, a prison where she belongs, if you ask me, to a more comfortable facility.
I'm horrified. So are most of the other survivors. I mean, it's a betrayal of everything that I did, everything I sacrificed to testify, the 30 years that I've lived with surviving this abuse. But really now, we have to look forward to what can we do. We need to get this bill passed. One other thing that I think is important is, you know, I think you have to think about, we all can see that this is political suicide for Trump to be
engaged in a cover-up?
To be vetoing or trying to pressure people to not vote for this bill and have these files released. So if that's what he's willing to do, why? Why? Right?
I mean, so that goes to who killed Epstein as well. Now we're in the guessing territory because you don't have personal experience, and neither do we. But so, I mean, I would, as powerful as those particular predators were, it's hard for me to imagine that they have enough power to kill someone inside a US prison and get away with it, right?
Really?
But an intelligence agency would have enough power to kill someone inside a US prison and get away with it. So that's me guessing. Do you have a guess?
You know, I don't really have a guess. I have questions. You know, I have questions. I can see that. My main question is, you know, if the fear is not political suicide, what's worse than that? And who is, and you know, everyone seems to think that, oh, you know, Trump is maybe controlling Ghislaine and manipulating.
No, I think
it's probably the other way around.
Yeah, I do. In fact, ever since Ghislaine was moved to that more comfortable facility, I noticed that the Epstein leaks stopped. That's notable. I mean, I could be proven wrong. There could be more leaks soon, who knows? But I have noticed that those leaks stopped after she was moved to.
Leaks about Trump.
Leaks about Trump specifically, yes.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah. I suppose intelligence agencies could do leaks. And they could decide to stop doing leaks if one of their assets got favorable treatment, but.
I mean, I knew Trump a little. I know Ghislaine really, really well, and she is extremely smart.
She is, and very manipulative.
Yes, and she would not leave this to chance, and there is a reason that she is doing well and Epstein is not.
That's amazing.
Interesting, yeah. And of course, she had a powerful father too, who wrote about you in the Daily Mirror, who was a legendary Israeli spy, stole America's nuclear secrets, but yet was allowed to own newspapers and publishing companies in Britain, in the US. Things that make you go, that is super strange that a super spy for Israel is allowed to own all those things in the UK and the US.
Publishing houses that published our history books, our social studies books in public schools. Anyway, we're now well down that rabbit hole. But Anushka, unfortunately, we're out of time. I want to thank you for speaking with us. But more importantly, I want to thank you for being willing to, you know, for lack of a better phrase, put your ass on the line to ensure that there's justice for the survivors. I want justice for the survivors. I think the majority of the American people want justice for the survivors. And you know, to your point, Cenk, this is not a partisan issue. There are Republican voters who are demanding the release of the Epstein files, Democratic voters who want it. The real question is, do the people in positions of power who actually have the ability to make a difference here, are they going to do the right thing? And I guess we're going to have to wait and see.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, the support we need is to reach out to these congresswomen, these Republican congresswomen, let them know that we're supporting them. Let them know they're doing the right thing. They're on the right side of history. Because if we support them enough, I think they'll have the courage to do the right thing.
I think politicians on both sides, whenever they've been in charge, have been abysmal and have betrayed you and the American people. But the voters on both sides have been terrific. And so Republican voters who've asked for accountability on this over and over again, you're absolutely right. This is your time. Call your congressman, your congresswoman, and say, why are you on the side of the predators instead of the victims? And that is a super fair question to ask your representative. They're supposed to represent you, not foreign countries, not intelligence agencies, and not predators.
All right, Anushka, thank you again.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Cenk.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.
There is a joke that Trevor Noah told on stage. It lasted about 20 seconds. It was about Donald Trump, Melania Trump, and Jeffrey Epstein. And now the First Lady of the United States wants to sue him for $1 billion. $1 billion. Not a million, not 10 million, $1 billion. That number is not an accident. That number is a weapon. And if you understand how lawsuits like this actually work, you'll realize something disturbing. The lawsuit itself doesn't matter. The threat is the point. Pay attention to this next part, because what's happening to Trevor Noah is part of a much larger legal strategy designed to silence anyone who asks questions about Melania Trump's connection to Jeffrey Epstein. And it may be about to backfire in a way the White House did not anticipate. Let me lay this out for you the way a federal prosecutor would. On January 11th, 2025, Trevor Noah performed at the Beacon Theater in New York City. During his set, he made a joke. The joke referenced the widely circulated photograph from the year 2000 showing Donald Trump, Melania Trump, then Melania Knaus, Jeffrey Epstein, and Ghislaine Maxwell together at Mar-a-Lago. The photograph is real. It was released by the Department of Justice as part of the Epstein Files Transparency Act disclosures. It is a matter of public record. Noah's joke, according to multiple audience members who were present, went something like this. You know how Trump says he barely knew Epstein? Well, Melania knew him pretty well. In fact, some people say that's how they met. The audience laughed. The show continued. Noah moved on to other topics. But that 20-second joke, it triggered a legal response from the East Wing of the White House that tells you everything you need to know about what Melania Trump is actually afraid of. Within days, Melania Trump's personal attorney, Alejandro Breto, sent a cease and desist letter to Trevor Noah, to his representatives, to Comedy Central, even though Noah no longer works there, and to his current production company. The letter threatened a defamation lawsuit seeking $1 billion in damages. It demanded an immediate public apology. It demanded a full retraction. And it demanded that Noah never reference Melania Trump in connection with Jeffrey Epstein again. Ever. Now, here's what makes this legally significant. Trevor Noah is not a journalist reporting new information. He is a comedian making a joke based on publicly available information. The photograph exists. The connection between Melania Trump and Jeffrey Epstein is documented in released government files. The joke Noah told did not accuse Melania Trump of a crime. It did not claim she participated in Epstein's trafficking operation. It simply referenced a publicly known association and made a satirical comment about it. That is protected speech under the First Amendment. Period. But from a legal strategy perspective, this lawsuit threat is not designed to win in court. It is designed to do something much more effective. Make comedians, journalists, and commentators afraid to talk about Melania Trump and Epstein at all. This is what's called a SLAPP suit, strategic lawsuit against public participation. And it is one of the most powerful tools available to wealthy, powerful people who want to control the narrative. Not by winning legal arguments, but by making the cost of defending yourself so astronomically high that most people simply decide it's not worth it. Think about what it would cost Trevor Noah to defend himself in a $1 billion defamation lawsuit. Even if he wins, which he almost certainly would because his joke is clearly protected speech, he would spend years in litigation. He would spend millions of dollars on legal fees. He would spend countless hours in depositions, in court filings, in discovery battles. And that is exactly the point. The threat is designed to make him and everyone watching think twice before making another joke. But here's where the legal strategy may backfire. Because Trevor Noah has not backed down. And more importantly, his legal team has options that Melania Trump's attorneys may not have fully considered. Let me explain. In New York, where Noah performed the joke, there is a law specifically designed to protect people from SLAPP suits. It's called New York's anti-SLAPP statute, Civil Rights Law Section 76A and 70A. And it allows a defendant in a case like this to file what's called an anti-SLAPP motion, which basically says, this lawsuit is an abuse of the legal system designed to silence my constitutionally protected speech. And the court should throw it out immediately. If Noah's legal team files an anti-SLAPP motion and wins, which given the facts here is highly likely, two things happen. First, the lawsuit gets dismissed before it ever goes to trial. Second, Melania Trump would be required to pay Noah's legal fees. All of them. That means instead of silencing Noah, Melania Trump could end up funding his legal defense and handing him a public relations victory that amplifies the very story she's trying to suppress. But it gets even more interesting, because under New York law, if Noah files an anti-SLAPP motion, he can also engage in limited discovery before the motion is decided. That means he can subpoena documents, he can request communications, he can potentially depose witnesses. And that opens the door to exactly the kind of sworn testimony that Melania Trump's legal team has been working so hard to avoid. Now, let's zoom out for a second, because Trevor Noah is not the only person Melania Trump is threatening. This is part of a coordinated legal campaign. Author and journalist Michael Wolff, who wrote Fire and Fury and conducted extensive interviews with Jeffrey Epstein before his death, has been threatened with a $1 billion lawsuit for reporting that Epstein claimed Donald Trump first had sex with Melania on Epstein's private jet. Wolff did not back down. He filed a preemptive anti-SLAPP lawsuit in New York State court, seeking a declaratory judgment that his reporting is protected speech. That case is ongoing. Political commentator James Carville made comments on a podcast suggesting Melania Trump had connections to Epstein's world. He was threatened with a lawsuit. He apologized and retracted. The Daily Beast published a story about Melania Trump's past and her potential ties to Epstein's social circle. They were threatened with a lawsuit. They retracted the story entirely. Multiple journalists have told me off the record that they have been contacted by Melania Trump's legal team and warned not to pursue certain lines of reporting. See the pattern? This is not about one joke. This is not about one article. This is a systematic effort to create a chilling effect across media, entertainment, and journalism. The goal is to make it so dangerous, so expensive, so legally risky to talk about Melania Trump's connection to Jeffrey Epstein that people simply stop doing it. And for a while, it was working. But then something changed. The Department of Justice released over 3 million pages of Epstein files in late January 2026. Those files included photographs, witness statements, flight logs, and other documents showing that Melania Trump was, in fact, part of Jeffrey Epstein's social circle in the late 1990s and early 2000s. She attended parties. She was photographed at his properties. She was on his plane. None of this proves she knew about or participated in his crimes. But it does prove that the connection is real, documented, and part of the public record. And once that information became public through official government channels, Melania Trump's legal strategy started to look less like a defense of her reputation and more like an attempt to suppress factually accurate reporting about her past. From a legal perspective, that is a critical distinction because defamation law in the United States is built on a simple principle. You cannot sue someone for saying something that is true. The truth is an absolute defense to defamation, always. So what happens now? Let's walk through the scenarios. Scenario 1, Melania Trump's legal team actually files a lawsuit against Trevor Noah. If they do, Noah's lawyers will almost certainly file an anti-slap motion, arguing that his joke is protected speech, that it is based on publicly available information, and that the lawsuit is designed to chill constitutionally protected expression. The court will likely agree. The case will be dismissed. Melania Trump will be ordered to pay Noah's legal fees, and the story becomes First Lady tries to silence comedian, loses, and has to pay his legal bills. That is a public relations disaster. Scenario 2. Melania Trump's legal team never actually files the lawsuit. They just keep the threat hanging over Noah's head, hoping he'll back down. But if Noah refuses to apologize, refuses to retract, and continues to reference the topic in his comedy, the threat loses its power. Other comedians see that Noah didn't back down and nothing happened. Journalists see it too. And suddenly, the chilling effect starts to thaw. Scenario 3. This is the one that should worry the White House the most. Trevor Noah, or one of the other people being threatened, decides to go on offense. They file a preemptive lawsuit, like Michael Wolff did, seeking a declaratory judgment that their speech is protected. And once that happens, discovery begins. Subpoenas get issued. Depositions get scheduled. And Melania Trump may find herself in the very situation her legal team has been desperately trying to avoid. Under oath, in a courtroom, answering questions about her relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. From a prosecutor's perspective, this is what we call overreach. Melania Trump's legal team got aggressive. They went after journalists. They went after a major media outlet. They went after James Carville. And it worked for a while. But then they went after a comedian with a massive platform, significant resources, and a legal team that understands anti-slap law. And that may have been a mistake. Because here's the thing about slap suits. They only work if the target is afraid. If the target has the resources to fight back, and if the target has a legal argument that the lawsuit is abusive, the whole strategy collapses. And in this case, Trevor Noah has both. He has the money to hire top-tier lawyers. He has a clear First Amendment argument. And he has the kind of public platform that makes this fight very, very visible. Now, let me put this in the broader context, because Trevor Noah is not the only high-profile figure being threatened right now. Hunter Biden, the president's son from the previous administration, was also threatened with a billion-dollar lawsuit by Melania Trump's legal team for comments he made about her past. Hunter Biden refused to back down. No lawsuit has been filed against him either. Why? Because Melania Trump's legal team knows that if they actually file these lawsuits, they will have to go through discovery. And discovery is where secrets die. Discovery is the process where both sides get to request documents, communications, and testimony from the other side. If Melania Trump sues Trevor Noah, Noah's lawyers get to ask her questions under oath. They get to request documents related to her time in New York in the late 1990s. They get to ask about her relationship with Ghislaine Maxwell. They get to ask about the parties she attended. They get to ask about the photograph. And all of that happens in a public courtroom, on the record, with transcripts that anyone can access. That is why these lawsuits never get filed. The threat is the point. Filing the lawsuit opens the door to exactly the kind of scrutiny that the First Lady's legal team is trying to prevent. So they send the threatening letters, they demand apologies, they demand retractions, and they count on people being too afraid, too expensive, or too exhausted to fight back. But Trevor Noah is not James Carville. He's not a small media outlet. He's one of the most successful comedians in the world. He has a massive audience. He has significant resources. And he has a legal argument that is rock solid. His joke was based on publicly available information. It was clearly satire, and it is protected by the First Amendment. Any judge who looks at this case will see that immediately. So here's what I think happens next. Melania Trump's legal team will continue to threaten Trevor Noah, hoping he backs down. But if he doesn't, they have a choice. File the lawsuit and risk a very public legal loss, or let the threat expire and accept that their intimidation strategy has limits. Either way, the legal war Melania Trump is waging against journalists, commentators, and now comedians is starting to show cracks. Because the more people she threatens, the more people start asking, what is she so afraid of? If the connection to Epstein is as innocent as her team claims, why threaten a $1 billion lawsuit over a 20-second joke? If the public record documents are inaccurate or misleading, why not release additional information to clarify? Why hire one of the largest law firms in the world to fight a comedian? The answer from a prosecutor's perspective is simple. People who have nothing to hide don't usually threaten billion-dollar lawsuits to stop people from talking. People who have nothing to hide don't avoid process servers. People who have nothing to hide don't demand that journalists retract factually accurate stories. People who have nothing to hide don't act like this. And that is the real story here. Not the joke, not the lawsuit threat, but the pattern, the coordinated effort to silence anyone who connects Melania Trump to Jeffrey Epstein, the aggressive legal posture, the billion-dollar threats, the retractions, the apologies, the chilling effect. All of it points to one conclusion. There is something in Melania Trump's past, something related to her time in Jeffrey Epstein's world that she does not want the public to know. And she is willing to use every legal tool available to keep it buried. But here's the thing about the truth. It doesn't stay buried forever, especially not when the government has already released millions of pages of documents proving that the connection existed, especially not when journalists like Michael Wolff are willing to fight back in court, and especially not when a comedian with one of the biggest platforms in the world decides that a 20-second joke is worth defending. Trevor Noah has not apologized. He has not retracted. And as far as anyone can tell, he has not stopped making jokes about the people in power. If Melania Trump's legal team actually files this lawsuit, they will hand Noah the biggest platform he's ever had to talk about this story. Every legal filing will be public. Every court hearing will be covered by the media. Every deposition, every piece of discovery, every legal argument will be scrutinized by the press and by the public. And that is the backfire. The lawsuit threat was supposed to make Trevor Noah go quiet. Instead, it may end up giving him the legal tools and the public attention to make the story bigger than it ever would have been otherwise. From a strategic perspective, that is a miscalculation, and it is one that the First Lady's legal team may come to regret. The Trevor Noah lawsuit threat is not an isolated incident. It is part of a broader legal strategy by the First Lady to control the narrative around her past. But that strategy only works if people are afraid. And right now, Trevor Noah does not look afraid. Michael Wolff does not look afraid. And the journalists who have been watching this unfold are starting to realize that the billion-dollar threats are not backed up by actual lawsuits. So what happens next? The legal fight is far from over. Michael Wolff's case is still working its way through the courts. The Epstein files are still being analyzed. And Trevor Noah's joke is still out there on the internet for anyone to see. The First Lady can threaten, she can demand, she can hire the best lawyers in the world. But she cannot change the fact that the public record now includes documents showing her connection to Jeffrey Epstein. And she cannot stop people from talking about it without proving in a court of law that what they are saying is false. And that is a case she cannot win. Because the truth is the truth. The photographs exist, the documents exist, the witness statements exist, and no amount of legal threats can make that go away. Stay informed. This story is far from over. The legal battle is just beginning, and the stakes have never been higher.